What does that mean? It's not.
It's live. Oh. Hey everybody, welcome to the TED Show. Today is January 23rd. It's a Tuesday and it's the 100th episode. Woohoo! Yay! Yeah, no, she's just drinking water, I promise.
It's water.
This is do you go by Kim Mikol Strong or Kim Strong?
Kim Strong.
Okay, I know you as Mikol.
I dropped the Mikol.
You did? Yeah, that's her maiden name. So let us know that you can hear us or see us. That would be awesome. To make sure that people are actually, hey Steve Placey, make sure you can, you want to see her beautiful face, you want to hear what she has to say. So again, just let us know you can hear us and see it. Vic Colazzo's on, Mary Ancona's on, Mary O'Donnell. So let us know. I am so excited to have you. When I was counting up who my person would be on my 100th show, I'm like, no way, it's Kim Strong. How can that be? So what a blessing. Anyway. Steve Martin says hey. Hi. So I can read some of that. That's good.
Oh, I can read those, yes.
Mark Johnson's on. Yeah, so you can read them. So as they come in.
When Jake Owen does this, I watch.
Oh yeah, you watch? So you're equally as famous. All these people are on. No. Oh, you're both looking fabulous. Don't you love her purple dress? Thank you, Carrie, so we can hear you. All right, so Kim and I go back to college.
It's Wendy Oliver.
Hey, Wendy Oliver. We go back college years, and she's kind enough to say, in our age group, and I'm much older than her, so she went to college when we're coordinating, thanks Terry, when I graduated in '89, and isn't that when you started?
You did?
Mm-hmm, I did. I just stayed on for a few more.
A little bit
yeah, I stayed on for a few more years. It's called my master's degree in children. But yeah, you always refer to that. I appreciate it very much. Look, Thomas is on. Oh. Thomas, how's that new baby? He's a sweet baby. So welcome.
Thank you so much.
This is her first time on Facebook Live, so she's never done this before.
Never.
And so we're going to welcome her. Look, you've got all these people checking in. And all right, so give us a little history, obviously. We want to know about you. One of the things I learned when I looked at your very lengthy, wonderful bio today is that you were on the golf team, so you'll have to give me a little bit about that. I didn't even know. So give us a little bit of history of you.
You didn't know that?
I don't think I knew that.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Erie, Pennsylvania, and grew up in a super wonderful small town. My sister and I could ride our bicycles for miles and miles, go to the Twisty Tree, drive across the railroad tracks. Days gone, right?
I miss those times.
Our kids can't do that anymore. But my mom would get phone calls periodically through the day, and they'd be like, hey, we saw Sharon and Kim, and here's where they were down near the high school, or they're at the golf course, or they're hitting tennis balls or whatever. So my mom and dad didn't worry about us ever. And our whole entire childhood was like that small knit community. Everybody knew each other. I played 7 different sports in high school.
She's an underachiever, if you haven't already realized.
No, my dad was just really, really smart and was a professional athlete himself. Well,
that's right. He played football, right?
Hockey.
That's right.
So my dad played for the Toronto Maple Leafs and the New York Rangers, and then he became a golf pro. But anyway, he totally put me in every sport to see what I could do, and his theory was it would keep me out of trouble. And like true to form, he kept me straight and narrow all the way through high school. And
how did you settle on one sport? Did you finally weed him out and say this is the one?
It was like whatever I got a scholarship in.
Nice.
So he's like, you're going to college, I'm not paying for it, you better figure it out. So tennis, truth be told, was my favorite of all sports. And I felt like I was the best at it, but it's very, very competitive and was super humbling for me to try to make it in tennis and be ranked 1, 2, 3 in Pennsylvania in any given year, and then come to Florida and totally tank it and get like my booty smoked, right? So I got the golf scholarship, I already had it, that's why we moved to Florida.
Was that a new team then? Like
UCF?
Yes. Mm-mm. No, it was. So I'm terrible. I mean, the closest thing I got to sports at UCF when I went there, and it was UCF people, it wasn't FTU when I went
UCF.
There, was intramurals. Like,
oh yeah, and everyone.
I always played on team 3. We had a beer in one hand and we hoped to catch the ball in the other. I mean, it was crazy.
So did Rob Strong. In the orange.
We love Rob Strong.
Everybody knows the orange cutoff shorts. If you know Rob Strong from college, the orange cutoff shorts.
Rob Strong, is he going to pop on today? That's Kim's husband.
I don't think he has any. I told him what
no
I was
inclination.
doing, but I don't think he's not a Facebook guy. He is just like a worker come home.
But he's a dancer. You should check out Kim's Facebook page.
Yes, he is.
We'll have to give him some credit on that.
He has a following.
And then you joined a sorority or a tri-delt.
I did. I'm a tri-delt, and that was fantastic. I was 18 years old, and I was on spring break with my sorority sisters, and I saw a super handsome young boy across a crowded Duval Street, and I asked Patty Diccio Cotter who that boy was, if she knew who he was, and she was like, duh, that's Rob Strong, and he's a Lambda Chi.
What year was that?
In 89.
89.
Thanks for making me divulge that.
Sorry, you said it's in your bio.
Totally. And she took me over to introduce me to him, and he was a little shy and very sweet and just super beautiful. And we had a very nice conversation, and he was flanked by Vito and Michael Hinn.
Oh, yeah.
So
love those guys.
The truth of the story is that I completely and absolutely stalked my husband. He's my husband now, so I can tell the story.
Yes.
They would call me and tell me where he'd be. So I would show up, and I'd be like, oh,
nonchalant,
hey.
with a hair flip.
I'd be like, hi. And he would say, wow, I've literally never seen you before. And I met you in Key West, and now I see you at like every party. And he's like, it must be fate. And I was like, must be fate.
I'm creating my own fate. He just didn't know it.
I know. I created my own fate. And that'll be like the theme of today.
That should be, create your own fate. Yes.
And so at our rehearsal dinner, the boys, Vito and Mike Hinn, who were both in our wedding and still are some of our best friends, they told the story of the stalking.
I love it.
So I was outed at my rehearsal dinner.
At your rehearsal dinner?
And my husband, who is super laid back, started laughing, and he said, oh my gosh, I've been totally bamboozled. And you know what my response was? You love me now.
That's right. Too late. Too late.
So now in May, we'll be married 24 years.
Wow.
We've been together amazing. 29 years.
Wow. I'm 29 years together in February, next month.
Congrats.
27 years married next month.
And you know,
we were both child brides, weren't we?
And I think that I couldn't be luckier to have met my match, right, in every way. And
yeah, because honestly, I was going to ask you. So you're you're a very determined, super persistent. I think you've got
super
such
annoying?
No, it's not annoying. It's so
annoying.
Awesome. Talking about creating your own fate. Do you think that you got that persistence, that determination, that drive from the way you were raised, plus sports? I mean, was it always the way you were, and your parents encouraged you to be like that? Because you're very, very driven, which is an awesome thing to be. We were talking about it earlier.
That's a really good question. And I think the simple answer to that is that my mom, who, you know, is, I'm super close to my mom. She's my best friend along with my sister. I talk to my mom like 5 times a day. And my mom is a very confident female. And she was just like, here's how it is, girls, and it's a man's world, which is fine. But she's like, you need to carve your spot out. And then you have my dad, who was a professional athlete, and he was like, you can be anything you want to be. And so he was like, just do it. And he's like, do it the best way you know how to do it. And as long as you're giving it your all, it's okay. Now, that's a speech that my dad used to give. He didn't really mean it. Like, he means you're going to be the best.
Right.
And that's it. So if I would practice 4 hours a day hitting golf balls, my dad would say, why didn't you spend an extra hour? And I'm like, I already spent half the day. And he'd be like, well, I mean, if you want to be the best, be the best. If you don't want to be the best, don't be the best. So my husband and I have moved that to our kids. And so I tell my kids, I mean, if it's worth doing, you got to work hard for it. And I just had the conversation with Xander, my freshman at Bishop Moore.
Amazing.
I'm a high schooler. I just had the conversation with him. He has good grades. He's a great kid. He's super sweet. He's a feeler and a big squishy heart, and just lovely. But I had to give him the speech of hey man, whichever track you go, it's okay. But you need to let Daddy and I know what you're thinking. Like, what are your ambitions?
Sure.
Do you want to be a business person, which is great? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a lawyer? Do you want to mow lawns for a living? Do you want to be a landscaper? Do you want to be a vet? Do you want to work at a gas station? I just want to know what you want to do so I can be supportive of you. Because if you think you're going to a 4-year institution, you better watch your grades.
Right.
Unless you're going to be a professional gamer. You know,
my God, that seems like that is, a lot of them think that's that's an opportunity. I actually had a guest on, Rupert Megnot, last Friday, and he owns Burnout Videos, and they do a lot of startups.
Right.
And he said that the kids coming out with the gamer or the coding degree, and it's not, I'm not even sure if it's a 4-year degree, I'm sure it has something. They're starting at 95.
Right.
95,000.
Did you make 95?
No, I did not make 90. What'd you make?
I made $14,500 for a wonderful gentleman named Rod Caborn.
And what was that, your first job out of college?
That was my first job.
And what did you do?
He owns a public relations company. He still does, and he hired me paid intern. And I'll tell you what, one of the most humbling moments of my lifetime, he gave me my first review. And I'm not kidding you. It was pages and pages and pages of all of the things that I needed to adjust in order to be a good professional.
How did that go over?
I mean, I was heartbroken.
Right.
And I went home to we were newly married to my husband, so I was 24 years old, and I said to my husband, are you kidding me with it? Like, seriously? And he's like, well, you should read through it, the totally more sensible of the two. And he said, you should read through it, and you should see if there's anything in it that, like, is relatable, that is true, that perhaps you could, you know.
Sure. Well, he brought you down and made you really think about the focus. Because if the gentleman took the time to really do that, A, that says to me he cared, and B, normally there's some sort of truth in most of those reviews. It's just a matter of how if you're willing to receive it or not. Oh, we love you, Shirley. And I love all you guys that are commenting, by the way. I'm sorry.
And none of it was bad. It was just very good constructive criticism that a youngster didn't really appreciate, right? So now, fast forward, and I won some fantastic blessing of an award, a C-suite award from the Orlando Business Journal, and they video you, and I gave him some praise because, I mean, he truly helped mold, and he saw it. And he called me, and I hadn't talked to him in 25 years.
Wow.
And he called me, and he was like, wow, I mean, that was amazing that I was able to touch you in some small way. And I said, honey, you didn't touch me in some small way. I mean, you really pointed out some things that I needed to know about myself. And so now I try to pay that forward. You know,
well, I think you do. And if you look at Kim's bio, because I want to hit some of the highlights, obviously, because you do so much, and you have made a big leap, which I'd like to talk about that. Kim has recently, it's your own firm. You're a partner in a firm because you worked for, if you look at her bio, you've worked for the Y, you've worked for Nemours, Florida Hospital. You have really built a career of community building and philanthropy fundraising, and you really know how to network. I mean, she's a morning person, so occasionally when I'm coming in for the day, Kim's leaving after a meeting here at 7 o'clock in the morning. But you really have become targeted, but you were here at your current job, or your most recent job, and then you recently took a leap. And one of the things we talk about on the show all the time is, I think a lot of people want to take the leap and they don't know how. Or they're afraid to give up that big salary, the pension, the benefits, to take a risk on their dream. Yeah. And you did that. And how did you get you've always had the wherewithal. I think in your heart you probably always knew that you were going to eventually be your own boss. I think you mentioned that earlier. But
well, I don't think anyone else can tolerate me.
See, this guy in the beginning helped her. She's reflective.
My poor husband.
But that's a big leap. So if you can, talk a little bit about that.
It is. So it's completely exhilarating and terrifying all at the same time. I'm very excited. I had a very powerful, smart woman in this town, Janine McKinnon, approached me and asked me if I would consider being her partner. Well, for anyone that knows Janine, you know that she has been in this town for a while, and she's a wonderful community builder, wonderful friend, wonderful person to do business with, very honest, very ethical, just a smart, savvy individual. And wow, like what a blessing that she came to me to ask me if I would be interested in partnering with her, because our skill sets, we have similar skill sets, but we complement each other in what we feel the best way. So relationships that I have, she maybe doesn't have, and relationships she has, I maybe don't have.
You're very complimentary of each other.
Yep, and so you wouldn't, if you know Janine, you wouldn't be like, wow, that's oh yeah, no-brainer, that's a partnership. But if you think about it for a couple of seconds, you go, oh yeah, that's a partnership right there. Because we help you out, we help each other out, and we level each other out. But my decision to do it was, really the support that I have at home.
Sure.
So Rob was like, come on, man. I mean, this is your time. This is your opportunity.
Sure, if not now, when?
Yeah, if not now, when? I mean, to make a difference. And he's like, you're in a different spot. He calls me a scrambler. So, I mean, I'm going to scramble and I'm going to get it done, and Janine and I together are going to build this company for the sole purpose of helping other people.
And how wonderful that we were talking earlier about how empowering women has a quotation around it, because there's a lot of women in general, and I don't want to get into this here, but you obviously felt comfortable enough, and she's been enough of either a partner, mentor, you felt comfortable, but that's not always the case in the business that you're in, or any woman is. I have a lot of women that come on and talk about how they think that they're supported, and they're really not in the community. But you have that support. You have that relationship with Janine.
Yeah, she's a fantastic lady. And I hope we do come to a day where we are all truly very supportive of each other, because there is enough business, there's enough work, there's enough partnerships, there are enough companies, yes. There's enough wealth, there's enough opportunity for everybody to succeed. And I think it's really important to be super supportive of each other.
Why choose the other route? I'm always amazed at that. And guys are dumb about it too, but I think women are much more critical of each other than guys are of each other. Or at least it seems like we get over it more quickly. Look, everybody's comment. Rick Cable just came on. Jill Gentry did too. Gert's on. Hi, guys. I think that I don't understand the thought process of not wanting to lift people up. And I don't know if that's because that's how we are, that's innately how you and I are, but it definitely seems like it's a challenge with professional women in general.
Yeah, and I think a big turning point for me was 5 years ago. It'll be 6 years in July that I had a heart attack. And, the story's kind of funny now, in that I told my husband I wasn't feeling well the night before. I had a little pain here, and then the telltale sign for women is that I felt like I flossed my teeth too hard. So I had gum pain.
Teeth pain. Yes, teeth pain.
Yeah, and that's the number one sign for women, and male symptoms are very, very different. And so he was like, you're fine, you're probably just a little stressed out. And he's like, get a good night's sleep. So I did. I woke up the next morning and I said to him, I have to go to the hospital. And he was like, why? He's like, why, Dr. Strong? What is your diagnosis?
Rob, you're never going to live that one down.
And I said, I think I'm having a heart attack. And he was like, what? And so we debated it for 30 minutes, and he drove me to the hospital, which, you guys, is a big mistake. Big mistake. 911, call an ambulance. They have everything in the ambulance to treat you.
Correct.
Silly, silly, silly amateur mistake to make. But luckily for me, God was on my side. I made it to the hospital. As you know, I worked at Florida Hospital for 11 years. We lived closer to Orlando Health. My husband said, we're bypassing and going to Florida Hospital, right? And I said, I don't think it matters. They're going to take me right in. I'm having a heart attack. And he's like, you're not having a heart attack. You're having an anxiety attack. And so We literally have never, ever discussed what happened on that day. The worst day of his life became the best day of my life. You know, he's the one that had to sit in that waiting room for 2.5 hours while they were operating on me. I came out fully alert. You're awake the whole entire time, believe that or not.
That's crazy.
That's crazy that the surgeon talked to me the whole entire time. We were shooting the breeze. It was unbelievable experience, life-altering experience. And I came out, they rolled me out, and I said, oh my gosh, I have a lunch meeting with Andre Bailey in like 5 minutes. And my husband said, well, obviously you're not going to lunch with Andre Bailey.
Of course it's Andre Bailey.
Yeah. And so I gave Rob my phone and I said, hey, call Andre Bailey. And he called me, he's like, hey dude, it's Rob Strong. And Andre's like, okay, how are you? And Rob's like, hey, I'm Kim's husband and I just wanted to let you know she's not feeling well. And she's going to have to call you later on to reschedule your lunch. And he was like, wait, what? Is she okay? And Rob was like, yep, she's fine. She's just going to call you back and whatever. And it was a crazy, crazy day.
What was the final, so you had a heart attack, so you were right. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing, trust your gut on that. The minute, if you think anything that serious, she's right, call 911, don't drive yourself. But but that was did you have any signs before? Because you've always been a natural athlete. You take care of yourself. Yeah. You ate salmon for lunch and asparagus. I wanted the sandwich. I haven't had it yet. Yeah. But that's how you are. So were there any telltale signs before?
Well, when you look back, I mean, it's always hindsight. You know, I just pushed this very good point. So I talk about this across the country. People will enlist me. The American Heart Association, I speak all over for them. I pushed past, there's a little video called Just a Little Heart Attack by the American Heart Association. You should look it up. Very good short video. It's not about me, but it basically tells my story. You're low, 20.
You can hit the close button. They can still see us. Thank you.
And I just ignored the symptoms because I have 3 kids and I have a demanding husband. I have a household to run. I have a more than full-time job. I have a very busy family life, very busy work life. And you just kind of push past that stuff. Well, as I said, coming full circle, 5.5 years later, I'm still alive to tell the tale. But like, I had to change a lot of things about me. Before this, he and I were talking about how he's even seen a shift in me.
100%.
Like, when I go on vacation, I start enjoying that vacation on day 1. Not day 5 into the vacation where I'm finally like in a more relaxed state and whatever, only to start dreading, oh my God, I only have 2 more days of vacation left. This is a bummer. So I've changed my whole entire mindset. And what used to really, one of my very best friend, Woody Walker, Woody Maloof Walker for UCFers, she was telling me the other day that she can't believe how like I just let things roll now. Because what used to really annoy me, and I'd be like, oh, that's so annoying. I'm like, whatever.
Well, because you've basically faced unexpectedly your mortality. I mean, it could have, a longer period of time, or God knows what else, it could have gone a completely different way.
Yeah, the only things that get me riled now are if something's going on with my husband, I'm not excited about that. He needs to be in peace and harmony because, you know, obviously. And then, I mean, he's my lobster.
He's your lobster, Phoebe. He's your lobster.
And then my kids, like, bring it on, man. Don't mess with my kids.
Correct.
Because Mama Bear comes out in a big, ferocious way over my kids. So, you know, long and short of it is that they found out I have a blood clotting syndrome and not a heart problem. So I did a little research into that. Unfortunately, my dad died 2 years after I had my heart attack because he refused to get a simple blood test done.
Wow.
And he was like, I'm fine. I'm fine. And, you know, unfortunately, he thought he was, you know, above it all and immortal. And
well, we all do, right?
Yeah.
And we don't want to believe that weird pain is anything but overstressed, or you might have pulled a muscle exercising. I mean, that's never my scenario, but in most people's scenario, or that, oh, it's just a cold, or nobody wants to believe that it's actually more serious than it is, so you do push through. It's not just you. I think everybody has that same thought process, because God, you don't want to slow your whole day down to go to the hospital or to the doctor, take the time out.
I haven't got time for that.
Nobody's got time for that. I love that. I ain't got time for that. But that's how we all, I think, approach when we're not feeling well. And look at all these people lately, like just to use the flu, for example. They're waiting too long, and people are dying from the flu. Yeah. Getting admitted and dying within a day or 2 days. And I think that's because we're so used to pushing through. It's a sinus infection. It's just basically a cold. I've got maybe I've got a fever, but it couldn't possibly be a flu. Yes, and so I understand that thought process, and I think a lot of people push through like you did.
So I mean, I think flash forward, 5.5 years, and I sort of am like, well, I mean, just like I was telling Ted, I tell my kids, you got to do the best job you can do, and that's all that can be expected of you.
Right.
I left the YMCA after 4 years of service as their senior vice president. I love their CEO. He's a super great guy. And I think in most companies, if you resign, they go, see you later, like, beat it. But he hired me on contract because he believes in me, thankfully, and he believes in what I'm doing in the new company and solely helping people. So I told him, I can continue to help the Y, which he and my friend who's the CFO, Colleen Manahan, were very open to. So I'm still doing a lot of work for them. So they're my anchor, right? They're my anchor client.
Love it.
And then I absolutely believe with a passion, the programs that we provide at the Y for children that absolutely need help.
Agreed.
My passion seems to lie in children's services. So if you look throughout my history, there's Florida Hospital, which was run the gamut, but the Children's Hospital and the Cancer Institute were my sweet spot. Nemours Children's Hospital, obviously, pediatric facility.
Right.
I'm the chairman of Kids House of Central Florida, Kids House of Seminole County. Technically, we treat kids in all counties,
yes,
but we are housed in Seminole County. And for those of you that don't know what that charity does, they treat sexually abused children. So it is a terrible epidemic throughout the country. Terrible problem in Central Florida. Almost always a family member, and almost always someone that you know.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
There is not one time that I get up to the podium as chairman and not cry in front of hundreds of people.
Sure.
And I think it's good, and I think it's okay to show.
You absolutely need to.
Your human side of it, because if you don't cry over babies getting sexually abused, then
where's your heart?
There's a bigger problem.
Yeah, there's a huge problem.
So I have been on the board for 10 years, and now I'm their chairman because they couldn't find anybody else. But
that's not true.
It is true. Ask
You've got the passion.
Ask Commissioner Delary and Chief Lemma. They're
probably like,
what? So it is my absolute passion. Mark your calendar, April 7th, Kids House Gala.
Okay, we'll post that when we share the video.
We have hired, I have to legally say, Lou Graham and his band. So we all know that Lou Graham used to be the lead singer of Foreigner.
Oh, I was just going to say, he's the lead singer of Foreigner, right?
So we would love to have you. It's at the venue at UCF, so give UCF some props. But
Go Knights!
It's the Go Knights. It's the little engine that could this event. But my theme seems to be emerging that I'm all about children's issues and making sure children in our community grow up strong and healthy, non-bullied, and healthy and loved.
Do you think that there are where are the places where there could be more services? Where are the gaps in our community, since you're doing all community building? And I know that across the board, listen people, I serve on the boards, a lot of boards too. I mean, we could spend an entire day talking about where the gaps are, but since that's what you're doing, that's part of what you're doing, philanthropic fundraising, community building, where do you see the greatest need?
I don't know if I'm really an expert in the field. I think that more partnerships. So if you talk to a lot of thought leaders in town, I think that partnerships are where it's at. So for example, the YMCA does something really well with Boys and Girls Club. So Orange County funds after-school programming, free after-school programming for every school in Orange County.
Wow.
So if you are a family that want your children to have a little extra educational oomph after school, you want them to be able to play sports after school, that's where the Y comes in, plus the educational component, plus you get a snack. So these programs, again, we, the Y, would focus on Title I schools just like Boys and Girls Club does.
Sure.
But we are in all schools now, right? So all middle school after school programming in Orange County.
That's amazing.
We've branched out into Osceola County. We are in Lake County. We were in Brevard County last year and Seminole County. So we are slowly making a mark. But I mentioned Boys and Girls Club because they are different from the Y, but they are similar.
Sure.
So they have an amazing CEO, and we have an amazing CEO. They have Gary Kane, we have Dan Wilcox. We have joined together as a somewhat united front and gone to Orange County Commission, and they graciously, I mean graciously, thank you to all the commissioners, fund us to help these kids that literally would not have a safe place to go after school. Right? Would not have a safe place to go after school. Osceola County, we serve 150 kids per school, per day.
Oh my God. People don't know that.
People don't know, and people don't know how much need there is in all of our counties.
And that's why the collaborative spirit that you're talking about is so critical. And I think I wrote something the other day on Facebook about the Sandbox, and it was basically about this thing, is that we have to get past all of us doing our own little thing and not wanting to collaborate to actually address the problem that we all got together for to begin with and help these kids, help these people in need, instead of just focusing on this is my little part of it and I'm going to get ticked off because you're doing that. But in reality, it's kind of like when Andre brought together the coalition or the commission, trying to get all of the resources together and collaborate. Shelley Lawton's doing such an amazing job with that. But that's what we need to do more of, because everybody's focused on their own little thing, and then there's an entire pot of people who are not getting served, yet the resources are there. So I love the collaborative.
You know, my whole focus on my new role at McKinnon Strong.
McKinnon Strong! I love it.
Is that I just want to be able to help people. And so if I can use my expertise, and trust me, I still am learning. I go to the Edith Bush Institute that does a tremendous job. I will likely go back to get another degree just to sharpen my skills, keep it up, but with an ambition to teach.
Sure.
Right? Ambition to teach later on in a couple years. But if I can help anybody, so for Kids House of Seminole County, for example, my history is in running events. My history is building a base of donors. My history is building boards, bringing together partnership opportunities, coaching CEOs, coaching boards on fundraising. Fundraising doesn't mean you have to ask someone for money. That's a common misconception.
That is so true.
Common misconception. You can be a fundraiser by being a connector, a maven, a closer, or a strategist. You could be one.
I like that word, maven. That's awesome.
So connector is a person like Ted that knows everybody in town and is like, oh, you should meet this person. You should meet this person because I think you guys would get along and you could help each other. That's a connector. They get the most energy from meeting new people. You can walk into a room and be the stranger for 2 seconds and then have many, many friends.
True.
I'm also...
I know you are, totally.
But I have to be a hybrid because I also have to ask for money, so I have to strategize and be a closer. I'm almost never a maven.
What's a maven?
And I'll tell you why. Maven is a person like Dan Wilcox, the CEO of the YMCA. He can talk to anybody at any time about the Y. Any topic. After school programming, aquatics programming, scholarship programming, the facilities, the capital spend, our outreach-wise, our reading program, our youth in government program. He can talk endlessly and passionately. That's what a Maven does. So a Maven's an educator. Strategist is obviously a person that can talk strategy and be like, what are our connection points? What are the next things we're going to do? What are our next steps? And then the closer is obviously the person that very lovingly asks for the dollars.
Correct.
Right? So fundraising,
all very important roles. Everybody has to kind of work together. And
team effort.
So I know it's crazy, but we're already at 1:35 because I could talk to you for hours. And you've been amazing today, by the way. Thank you. Thank you for sharing everything you did. I'm glad you're still here.
I'm glad I'm still here. My mom said God has more work for me to do.
Correct. I believe that. So any parting words for them? And we're going to post all of Kim's contact information after we post the video, but any parting words for them, any words of wisdom? I hate to cut you off because I love this conversation. You have tons of words of wisdom. Come on.
Right?
Tons of wisdom.
I just think you have to be true to yourself. I think you have to have the courage to do it, right?
Yes.
You don't want to, in 5 years, you don't want to say, oh, I wish I had done this, or I wish I had done that. You want to go to Europe, do it.
I agree.
You want to start your own business, do it. All you need is faith. Whatever you tell your kids, tell yourself. If you tell your kids it, you better believe it. Because I tell my kids, you can be anything you want to be.
I agree.
And that's it. There's my words of wisdom.
All right. Love you to pieces. You were awesome.
Well, I love you.
Thank you, guys. We will all comment on thank you guys they put a ton of comments on here. Love you.
Love you too.
You're nice and cold.
I'm going through. It's the blood thinner.
I'm going through menopause, so I'm warm.
It's the blood thinner.
We love you guys. Thank you for the 100th episode. I can't believe it, and I'll post something later about that.
Do 100.
We love you. 100. Love you guys so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Post a lot of stuff about the 100th episode. Going to tag a whole bunch of you in it, so wait. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. And then I'm going to let Kim hit the finish button.
Okay.
Love you.